trying to keep up with all of the new apps is probably one of the most complex things for parents. It feels like as soon as we've figured out what kids are doing, there's a new one, right? There's a new thing. So for parents, it just comes down to making sure that they have certain systems in place, expectations, open communication, so that they can continue to have conversations with students just about how to be safe.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, everyone. My name is Norma Martinez. I am the proud superintendent of the Centralia School District. We're located in North Orange County, California. We serve students and we have schools in the cities of Anaheim, Buena Park, and La Palma. I'm actually starting my 11th year as superintendent here, and we have about 4,000 incredible scholars in our district.
Superintendent, I am so genuinely excited to hang out with you today because you have a theme park. You are right. Your district is really close to a theme park that's probably my favorite theme park. Now, I got to tell you first, for all of our audience, welcome, everyone. You're either a parent or a superintendent or anyone in between, and we love all of you. Whether you're a staff member supporting kiddos to keep them safe and successful on the internet and in your school, or whether you're a parent or guardian trying to work in this digital world that we live in right now, where you're trying to keep them safe and make sure they're resilient and they are someday ready to move out of your home and be protected from this dangerous world we live in. We're excited to have you. Okay, so the superintendent here today, this school district is exciting because I used to work at Walt Disney Studios in brand marketing where I launched my career, but there's another theme park other than Disneyland, just about 5 to 8 miles away called Knott's Berry Farm. Walt Disney and Walter Knott were close friends. They had a passion for trains, and Knott's Berry Farm is Disneyland version 1.0. It's still there to this day. I went there on my birthday this year. I have a season pass. So superintendent, you are right next door. Can you just give us a quick background of how that theme park works with your school district or the history?
Absolutely. So you need to know that I was once a principal at a school that was very, very close to Disneyland. So it's no surprise that I am now the superintendent of Centralia, which is a couple of blocks from Knott's Berry Farm. So we have a wonderful tradition and history with Knott's Berry Farm. Walter Knott was a former board member of our district once upon a time, back when, he was living in the area. We educated his children. They were very active in the PTA, very good supporters of public education. They actually donated land to us so that we can build a school. Wow. In one of our neighboring spaces. It's wonderful to be able to be in a place where we have such a rich history with a real true trailblazer and an innovator, in particular in this area of industry in which he, founded Knott's Berry Farm.
Absolutely. Yeah. For all of our listeners all over the country, Knott's Berry Farm is more affordable. I love it this way. It's more affordable and it's just as fun as Disneyland. A little bit less crowds. That's why I went there on my birthday. I love you, Disneyland. Nothing wrong with you. Okay, superintendent, I want to get your insight on this episode. I really want you to dive into, you were probably started as a teacher, you became a principal. Southern California is amazing. And now you are leading a big staff. So I want to get your insights and tap into your whole career. After a couple hundred of these superintendent conversations with your peers in 40 states, we've heard a consistent trend. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful technology, AI, and social media. But sometimes, and not in every community, but sometimes they might lack the maturity and the guidance to use it safely. Now, the result is more student absences in some cases, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom in some cases. Now, we're also hearing parents are trying so hard to raise good kids in a world that they did not grow up in, a world where tech is now moving faster than safety policies can keep up in some cases. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and safety issues or safety lessons usually come after a crisis in some cases. Superintendent, I want you to set me straight. Teach us, are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so that we can alert other school districts before they see them?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So I want you to know my district is a pre-K 6 district. So we have a particular vantage point for the use of technology, and that is how young kids use it or misuse it, right? Because no child can afford to buy their own cell phone. Yeah. This is something that is usually gifted by a parent. So what we get a chance to see is what happens when students are provided a very, very complex, powerful tool, and they're given this tool often through the love and care of parents who, I would say, at the very essence of why parents give young kids technology, it's really because they want to keep an eye on them. They want to protect them. They want to help them. They want to support them. Sometimes I find that parents don't realize that the very object they're giving them to protect them, to keep them, to be in contact with students is such a powerful tool that unless we can teach students properly and supervise them, it can really misfire, right? So, um, in the district that I serve, our kids, for example, none of them are 14 years old. So technically, none of them should have access to any social media because usually age 14 is the cutoff. But you'd be surprised how many of our students have their own Facebook accounts or Instagram accounts. And it's always done under the supervision of a parent who says, I want you to be in contact with grandma who lives in the East Coast, for example. So access this or access that. I feel like a big part of what we have to do is continuously remind our parents that when they do that, they're opening a door out there, right? And they really need to supervise. It is something that our parents ask us for in terms of training. How can we make sure that we protect our kids in cyber world out there so that students can be safe when they use the technology? For us, it's really critical to have those conversations with parents so that parents can take on that responsibility of supervising while at home, but we also have to at school do whatever we can to infuse cyber safety education in our curriculum. And I can tell you that we do that quite well. There's a platform out there, Common Sense Media, and we are able to we do school-wide assemblies. So we have a team that goes out and they teach cyber safety, and then our teachers go forward and they also continue to provide training. We have to do that in order to that so that our students can learn how to use technology safely. Kids are the age that we serve are not supposed to have social media. It's not uncommon to find kids who have social media, and usually that results in a conversation with the parent. A lot of times when kids do get in trouble, it's something that parents are not aware of. They weren't monitoring this or that. And something that was given to kids to communicate with a loved one can become an object that creates challenges for kids.
Yeah, so well said. And you bring up a good point because you say that your kids are under the age of 14 and some
Yeah.
of these apps are like, hey, 13 and above. But parents, remember, I'm here to tell you, we agree with Australia where we think that a kid can get a phone younger if you want to stay connected to them. I get it, the co-parenting world we live in. But let's
Yeah.
have that discussion about delaying social media until the age of, this is going to sound crazy. Your kids are going to hate me, everybody, but I say it all the time, the age of 16. Josh is
Yeah.
a terrible human being, but I want your kids to grow up, parents. All of our viewers and listeners right now, I want your kids to grow up resilient so they have a little bit more time to read a book, right? A physical book. We're doing the
Yeah.
book report at work. All our staff is reading a book. It's crazy, but it really adds value, mental health. It's like a free bonus. And we want to get your kids on that. Superintendent, am I wrong asking people to delay their kids till the age of 16?
You know what? That should be a law somewhere because I think that that really would support kids being better decision makers. The kids we have at our age, like I'll give you a perfect example. The developmentally, the idea of what's real and what's not real is not 100% concrete. You know, our kids believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and as they should, right? These are things that we want them to believe in. But oftentimes, if they read about something, they think because they read it, it's real. They see it on the computer or on a cell phone or image or what have you. They see it. So because they saw it, it's real without realizing whether something is or is not real. And just the simple act of kids are still developing who they are, their sense of identity, how they resolve conflict. All of those are things that we're practicing with our kids. We're making sure that they have that developmental level to deal with these issues. To get a powerful cell phone that now connects them to the whole world, possibly, is something that really needs to be monitored by parents.
So true. I mean, that's a great point. And what you're hinting at too is there's so much going on with these new deep fakes. We see things online. I hear this from a lot of our audience. We reach millions of people, and a lot of moms will say, Josh, my kids are saying that this is a fact when really it was just some random YouTuber that came up with their algorithm that said, this is how the world works. And now they believe it to be the truth. How do we talk to them
Mhm.
about it? And I wrote down, because I'm learning from you, deep fakes are making us believe in things like kids believe in Santa Claus. Well, it must be true. We trust it and we move on. And it's true for adults too, right? I mean, some adults might see a deep fake and go, did the president actually say that? Or was that a fake new video? Back to school is going to be totally different, right?
Mhm.
How do you talk to parents about talking with their kids about kind of trusting, but verifying things, or maybe just verifying before you trust?
Right. So we often will provide parent workshops. And
Mm,
I will tell you that the parents who tend to come are the ones who are being very proactive, right? They're interested in sometimes the challenge is not with that one child, but it's with the other child. And unfortunately, then we're having a different conversation with the parent. It's an after effect conversation to say, well, this is what happened. And so it's a respectful conversation because honestly, every parent is doing the best they can. There is no judgment, there is no
yeah.
blame. I was a working parent. My kids had a cell phone when they were young for that very reason. I'm like, I need to be able to communicate with you after school. But it comes down to how do we help parents have a conversation about how you can use this tool and also learning like if you have a child who is doing these things that are not necessarily safe or maybe has some issues with making good judgments, like how do you provide safeguards? Are there ways that you can provide a safeguard about how you use a certain device? Should you, the classic, the cell phone gets charged in my bedroom at night, not in your bedroom at night.
Yeah.
These are really good practices that we have to talk with. One time we were doing a conversation with the parent, and our recommendation to the parent was, you can remove the cell phone as a consequence for the behavior. And the parent said, no, I can't do that. That's my child's cell phone. And we're like, oh, no, no, no. You pay the bill. They're a minor. It's your cell phone. It's on loan to them. It's like a book that you check out at the library. It's on loan, but they do something, you can remove it. So a lot of what we do when we're talking with parents, when the kids have done something that, is not appropriate, is really empowering parents to make sure that they see what they're doing, not as a punitive thing for a child, but really understanding that perhaps that child isn't really developmentally ready for that tool. And maybe you need to delay or have other conversations or add safeguards to this tool that they use so that you can monitor it, because it's really important that the parents nowadays, they have to have very open channels of communication with kids. And we want kids to be able to go to their parents or to a trusted adult. It's the same thing as always, but now it's technology, right? So we know that forever and a day, kids have always gone to their friends to seek advice, but now they're going to a chat bot or an internet source or something, social media, to ask a question, when we've always said go to a trusted adult. So nothing has really changed except that kids have this ease of this device that we need to still move them and funnel them into go to a trusted adult.
So true. So interesting. Okay, so for all of our listeners and all of our viewers online, you know that we reach millions of families a year, just like you. Parents ask us a lot of questions. Here's one of the questions parents have asked us. Josh, what advice would you give to a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger online? Well, let's hear from a real teen about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, remember, if your school district is a current partner of ours, we have weekly live parent events and replays in the evening. You can join, and there's lots of giveaways. They're in English, in Espanol, and Mandarin, and 9 other languages. We have real teens that teach the program alongside of psychologists, therapists, counselors. and a premium parent newsletter. No one's left behind, and there's tons of giveaways. Parents, when your district is a partner and you attend the events for the giveaways and to protect your kids, here's what it looks like in communities just like yours.
Many kids as young as 10 years old will be unwrapping a cell phone for Christmas, but one school district is offering parents a gift this year, a tool to help them protect their kids using their cell phones.
It's really about safety. It's about safety of our learners.
Right now, College Community says about 400 parents are using the platform smartsocial.com that's covered by the district's general funding. The hope is to partner with parents so they're able to keep their kids safe.
There's this tool that they didn't grow up with, or they grew up with, maybe one or two apps on that tool, and now their students are living in this world. We just believe that, protecting students is not just confined to the 7-hour school day. Their safety is important to us beyond that.
Smart Social's founder, Josh Ochs, says he's been speaking about safety tips at schools across dozens of states, now reaching even more families by hosting live online Q&As and providing parents pointers. The goal, preventing potentially dangerous situations like chatting with strangers and cyberbullying.
You won't be there for them forever. We want to make sure they're resilient and awesome using these new tools, and that they come to you when they need you, and that they make wise decisions when you're not around.
College Community says parents have been giving positive feedback about the program as it continues to track students' online safety habits.
The more parents know about how students are using technology, how they can use it appropriately, how they can maybe use it inappropriately, or what apps are doing. The apps continue to change. The interfaces continue to change. Some of the potential safety risks for students continue to change.
All right, parents, remember, before we get back to the program, we've got free guides for you on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more in 12 languages. We've got little quizzes that help guide you through our stuff. And as if that's not enough, come to any one of our events. You're automatically entered for a chance to win a Kindle, a 3D printer, or a Bluetooth speaker to promote fun stuff at home. We've got AI family workshops, reducing arguments with a family media plan, all kinds of different events all year long, and perhaps the largest anti-bullying campaign in the world. You heard it here first. Huge event, and we're super excited. Okay, we're back over to our superintendent guest expert. Superintendent, I want to dive into another topic. So in addition, these 200 episodes that we have with your peers nationwide, we've really heard from their community as well. We're hearing that sometimes many parents feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks. We're hearing also that students can sometimes find ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school differ significantly from those at home. I want to hear from you, Superintendent. What trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
Well, I think that, as you've mentioned before, the trying to keep up with all of the new apps is probably one of the most complex things for parents. It feels like as soon as we figured out what kids are doing, there's a new one, right? There's a new thing. The kids figure out, we figured it out, and so now they move on to something else. So for parents, it just comes down to making sure that they have certain systems in place, expectations, open communication, so that they can continue to have conversations with students just about how to be safe. It should be consistent across whatever app that it is that you are doing. I think parents should make sure that they keep open lines of communications with the schools. A lot of schools offer trainings and workshops. There's a lot of resources available so that we can make sure that the parents have the tools that they need to support. And some of it is just common sense stuff, like I've mentioned, like at the end of the night, the phone should be charged, not in the child's bedroom. Do we have a set time for when that technology goes away? We need to find things like that so that parents can control a little bit of the time that their kids have with technology. I would say that one trend that parents probably should be aware of right now is the use of artificial intelligence. So we had this whole debate in my district, and my board is very supportive of you need to educate students. But the debate was, well, should we teach this to kids or not? Should we teach it to parents or not? And we just had that understanding and awareness, like it's already out there. This technology is out there. Kids will find a way. I remember in COVID when we were transitioning to virtual learning, you would log on and you would see and hear the kids coaching their teachers through, hey, teacher, you need to unmute, you need to this, you need to that, right? The kids figure out a way. And so we know that now kids will probably figure out how to use this software, but we have to teach them how to use it responsibly. So I'm aware that in some districts, it's a no AI at all. We've kind of taken a different approach where we say, well, we need to educate our parents on what's artificial intelligence. Let's educate our staff. We're moving through this at a slow clip, but we're moving forward, understanding that with the age group that we have, our older kids, is we are working with the software program to kind of teach them how to use this responsibly. But AI is something that when you talk to parents, it scares them. And so, how do we teach parents that we're going to be responsible teachers of this technology? But then, how do they help their kids manage that? This is one more new thing, right? That they have to manage. So, how do we do those things? And then maybe having those conversations about at what age do we introduce it? Because, again, just from a very developmental standpoint, little kids are so literal and developmentally don't quite grasp what's real versus what's not real. And so having those conversations is just really critical for parents to do. But, as we're moving forward to provide training to our own staff, we really have to think about how do we help our parents learn this new system, this new AI tool, so that when they see their kids using it, they understand what it is. And the most important thing is we teach kids to not use it in a way that's going to harm others.
So true. That's so fascinating. And I love your guidance. I think that's a great way to do that. My last question is, are there any frequently asked questions parents ask you that you'd love to bring to the forefront to alert other superintendents and other staff at other districts? Are there any big questions that they're bringing up like constantly? I love your charging suggestion, charge it. And I love also the trend that you're talking about. The kids don't own the phone. They didn't buy it. They can't afford it. You own the phone and you have the right to take it back. Just like that car when they're 16, if you buy them a little beat up car, you have the right set of keys to take it back and because they're not responsible with it. Are there any other frequently asked questions that you're sharing with parents?
I think what our parents want to know a lot of times is what do you do when something happens? They may take a child's cell phone and then they see something inappropriate. What do you do when that happens? And the approach that parents have to take really has to be something that is instructional, right? We don't want to ban it. So I think to ban something just encourages kids to find other ways. I mean, I remember being a child and being told you can't do this or you can't do that. You're always trying to find how you can do the one thing that you're not supposed to do, right? But as opposed to giving parents tools so that they know that when they see something that's not appropriate, before it becomes a problem, before it becomes a big thing, having that open conversation, it comes down to good parenting. How do you have a good conversation with your child? How do you determine whether the child needs to have maybe that tool removed for a little bit or to be given a second opportunity? A lot of it is very nuanced because it really depends at the age group that we serve on how kids receive the information, right? And are they understanding it? Are they asking questions? Do the parents then learn what it is that the child is doing and how are you using the phone or how are you using this device or what do you do? How do you make amends? At our age, it's a lot about, oh, you said something that was hurtful. So do you just leave it and say not? Or how do we correct it? Parents are really trying to help their kids make good decisions, but also how do you come back from a bad decision? That's a really big focus of conversation from parents because we can't say you will never use technology, you will never use the internet, you will never use, we use all those tools all the time. It's about educating students to be appropriate with it, but what do you do when, right? And that's a thing that parents ask us. My child was doing, and late at night, they're sneaking, getting the phone, they're on the phone all night, they're not sleeping because of this. What do I do when that happens? A lot of those questions come our way.
That's excellent. Superintendent, I really want to thank you. You took a lot of time out from your busy schedule. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. This was wonderful. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, remember Smart Social's got 450 plus resources, multiple languages. No one's left behind. This is on our search page. We've got the Instagram app guide page. We update these regularly. We have an army of parents fighting for you. YouTube guide for parents, TikTok guide, what parents, educators, and students need to know. TikTok blackout challenge. The Google VO and deepfake dangers. When you see my face on it, it's me teaching it in 3 minutes or less, produced by a dozen people at the company. Netflix guide. These are some really scary ones. We show you how I uploaded a picture of me and my nephews, and it found out exactly which street and address we're at without metadata. Very scary. And you're going to see all kinds of stuff. What the superintendent talked about earlier was the Notify apps. We have something down here all about the Notify apps. We encourage you to go look at that. I want to thank all of our audience members, everyone who's watching and listening to me today. We're grateful. Parents, one last thing. Remember, as you post online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite, because our kids model what we do and what we show them how to do. I'm Josh Ochs, the founder of smartsocial.com. Thanks for joining us in this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.